Oh yeah. Oh, it's a bit bright over there. Oh, don't look over there. It's too bright. Hello everyone, I am Slow Rider, this is my world, and this is not a Ninja 1100 SX. Let's explain. So for those who are new to the channel, welcome. At the start of 2025, yes, this needs a bit of backstory. At the start of 2025, I had 3 bikes. I had an NC750S, a CBR500R, and the Sprint ST1050. In the middle of the year, June, July time, I think, maybe a little bit later, I went out on a tour with my brother. It was after ABR, so it must have been August. There you go, July, August time. There you go. Anyway, I went out for a tour with my brother down to Cornwall, and on the first day, my Sprint ST decided it had had enough. Something in the bottom end of the engine had gone. Still don't know what, but she died. She was sold. She went to automotive heaven. This left me short of a bike to go touring on, really. CBR500R not really being renowned for being a touring bike, and the NC750S, well, perfectly capable of touring, but wouldn't be your first choice. So I decided to trade in the CBR500R for a Ninja 1100 SX with the touring pack. And I then went round the Picos tour, which is on my channel now in the playlist, so I'll put a link up somewhere. And when I came back from Picos, my NC750S needed it needed a lot of TLC, frankly, but I booked it in for a valve service, as they call it, full-on play about with the engine service, and an MOT, because it really needed one. And the left rear indicator was knackered, so I say it was knackered, the bulb had gone. It's been in there for 8 years, that bulb. And when I went to take it out, the bulb part came out, but the actual metal connector decided it didn't want to go. Turns out it had rusted together or corroded together or some such. I can't actually tell, because you need to take the whole mounting off to have a proper look, and to do that you need to take the entire tail off the bike. Well done, Honda. So with that in mind, and with the cost of a new mounting point for the indicator being in the region of £65, I decided I wouldn't bother doing that. I would go for a tail tidy and some LEDs. To get the tail off, just the tail, never mind the indicators, just to get the tail off has 11 bolts on that bike. 11. And 4 of them are underneath the seat near the fuel tank, which is a bitch to get to because of the hinged seat they decided to put on it. And none of those 4 would move. So I added that to the list of jobs for the bike shop to do. And we took it in, I said, basically there's no time limit, just take as long as you need, whatever. It's not important, it's the winter. No tours or anything coming up. Other trips I've got another bike for, the Ninja, so, just take your time, do it. And they said, no problem, we've got it booked in for a few days' time. They rang me up the following day, and they said, we've done a little pre-check on the bike. You know, we do this before any service to make sure there's no sort of hidden crap. You know, you don't want to get into a big bill and then discover that there's something massively wrong with the bike. So we give it a quick look over just to make sure everything's good. Okay, no problem. I have no problem with that. They said the front brake's binding. Pretty sure it's front brake, because if it was the rear brake, I would have had words with them, because they've not long worked on that. So yeah, the front brake's binding, so that needs work. That's not a great sign. They said also your radiator's a bit battered. We're not entirely happy with, you know, putting an MOT on it with the radiator in that sort of condition. Okay, that could be expensive, I suppose. Yeah. And they said, and your fork seals have gone. Now you can just put in new seals, and that's fine. They'll hold the way they are, but it's likely they'll, you know, pop again at some point, and you know, that may not be good. So we recommend doing the whole lot on the front, on the front suspension. I see. I said, to be honest, if you're going to have the service done, and you're going to have that tail tidy put on, and you're going to have this work done, you're looking at about $3,000 to $3,500. There's obviously labour costs and things like that. You're looking at about $3,000 to $3,500. We've got an NC750S in our showroom with only 5,000 miles, same age, and it's $3,500. So, to be honest, we don't think it's worth you spending the money on that bike. But we're not happy to give it an MOT in its current state. And of course, you don't know what else you're going to find when you dig into the bike. So we said, by the time you've spent, you know, that, and if we find anything else in the engine, or, you know, when we're doing the service, obviously that's more money that you're going to need to shell out. Which is going to mean it's not worth it, basically. We don't recommend you spend the money on it. You know, it's not worth it. So I said, what suggestions have you got? He said, hold on. He put me on hold. For about 3 seconds. He said, right, okay, we are prepared to take it in as part exchange if you want to come in and have a look at other bikes, see if there's something else you like. You know, no sort of decision needs to be made right now. Just come in and have a look, and we'll see, you know, what's best for you. It was an ice warning this morning. Anyway. So I kind of cheated a bit. I didn't just go in. I went on the website and had a look. And I wasn't sure at that point if they would just do bikes from that showroom or whether they'd do bikes from a different showroom that's still the same company. But, you know, because they've got basically 3 showrooms. They've got 2 in Manchester. So it's Jules Honda I took it into. There you go. They are nice people, believe it or not. So I took it into, so you also have their Honda dealership, which is where my bike was. They have a Triumph dealership in Manchester, and then they have one in Blackburn as well. You know, just for clarity's sake, I can put that out there now. So yeah, I wasn't sure if they would just do bikes on the Honda dealership side of it, or if they would sort of, go across the range. But I had a look at the website just for the Manchester showrooms. You weren't waiting, were you? Anyway, you had to slow down for a car. Yeah, so I had a look around on the website on the showroom for Manchester, the Honda and the Triumph one, without really knowing if they'd do anything, and I saw a bike. And I quite liked it, and I kind of got my heart set on it. So I went in and I put a deposit down for the bike. We got all the paperwork sorted out. And yeah, I went home. Basically, I just had to sign on the dotted line. That was it. The bike in question? A Tiger 1200 XRT. Now I realise at this point that you're looking down at my bike and you're thinking, that is not a Tiger 1200 XRT. And you're right, it's not a Tiger 1200 XRT. It's not a Tiger 1200. In fact, it's not even a Tiger of any description. So, what happened? Well, avid viewers of the channel will know that I have a gate to get my bike through. Although if you're on my social media, perhaps more so. I have a gate to get through, get my bike through into my backyard. And my NC750 is 785 millimeters wide. The gate is 760. So I wiggle the handlebars to get the bike through, and that's absolutely fine. Of course, I didn't remember at this point how wide the gate was, but I knew that it was. So I went online and I looked, and I couldn't find any definitive measurements, which is slightly annoying. But the ones that I kept coming up with were 830 mils and 930 mils. I didn't really believe the 930 mils because that's fantastically wide. That's like out here somewhere. So I went to the shop again and I said that, yeah, I'm really sorry. I should have done this before. I haven't signed anything. I should have done this before, though. I should have measured the width of the bike because I've got a gate to get the bike through. And I said I couldn't remember at this point how wide the gate was. So he said, I've looked online and I keep getting different measurements, particularly for this model of bike. This model of bike apparently is wider than all the others, and I don't understand. And he said, it shouldn't be wider than all the others. Let's go and measure. And he gets to take measure out, and he goes over to the bike, and I go with him, and he measures it widest point to widest point, and he says 860. Well, fuck. So I said to him, can you put the steering on full lock and measure again? Yeah, can we measure again then? And he, yeah, sure, no problem. And he measures it, and he says it's a smidgen over 800. Yeah. So that's not going to work, but I didn't know. So, okay, right, okay. And I went home and I measured the gate, and sure enough, 760. The widest I could get it open, 760. So I phoned up the next day. Sorry, no, I missed a step. So I go back onto their website and I start having a look around bikes that might fit. So, you know, there's lots of Tigers in that place at the moment. So I see that the NC750S is still on there. It's a red one with red wheels. Okay, I phoned him up the next morning, 9 o'clock, but as soon as I could. And I asked for the guy I'm dealing with, and I said, look, I'm really, really sorry. I said, my gate is 760 wide. It's the widest I can open it. And he said, is there no chance? I said, no, it's not my property. I rent it. So I can't do anything about it. That's a limitation. He says, okay, what do you want to do? I said, well, you've got an NC750 there. It's 5,000 miles on the clock, $3,500. I said, I know you'll have to do some more maths and work it out, and I have no problem with that. But, you know, there's that. Then he says, okay. He says, what is it you're actually looking for in a bike? And I said, well, it needs to be practical. The NC750S is very practical. It's got to have a luggage and stuff like that, lots of luggage. But he says, but you want a bit more pep, don't you? And I went, yeah, I want a bit more from it, yeah. He says, okay, well, I'll move your reservation fee over to the NC. And I'll see what else I can look up, you know. Maybe there's something else that will fit the bill. And I know what you're saying. This is not an NC750S in red, with red wheels. In fact, it's not even an NC750S, because it was obvious it wasn't at the start of the video, you numpty. So what's happened? So he phones me back about an hour later, about 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. He phones me back and he says, there's good news and there's bad news. Okay, well, you know, give me the bad news. The bad news is that NC750S, that's gone. Someone's reserved it overnight and it's no longer available. And I will say, not that I didn't trust him, but a perusal of the website does seem to show that it's gone. They could have taken it off, of course, but, you know, whatever. It's not there, is really the point. Someone has nabbed it, the bastards. Maybe they came in that morning and they were looking and he went over and said, look, you need to put this deposit down because otherwise it's gone because, you know, there's a guy who wants it on the phone. Whatever. That was the wrong gear. That was entirely the wrong gear. So he says, that's the bad news, it's gone. So the good news is, I think I found you another bike. Well, okay. He said, it's in our Blackburn store. So we've got to get it down here, you know, so you can have a look at it. You know, there's no sort of pressure until then. Come down, have a look, see what you think, make a decision. At that point, don't have to make it now. He said, but he's had a look, it's 790 mils wide. So it's slightly wider than the NC. But that's, you know, bar tip to bar tip. You know, you can turn the bars and, you know, wangle it in. I said, yeah, no, that shouldn't be a problem. He says it comes with full luggage, 3-piece luggage. Okay, that suits it. And he said, obviously, you know, he hadn't told me what the bike was at this point. Obviously, I haven't mentioned it for surprise and, you know, what have you. You probably already worked out what it is. He says it's a bit more peppy. It's a bit taller. It's a little bit taller. But yeah, come down, have a look at it, see what you think. So naturally I did. Went down on the Tuesday, so it's a couple of days later, to have a look and said, yeah, I quite like that, thank you very much. And so on December 17th, possibly the worst time to pick up a motorbike, I picked up this wee beastie. Ah, Lady Bower, the mist disappearing off of the reservoir, producing a very atmospheric scene for a bike reveal, except I'm not down there, I'm up here in what is basically a lay-by that a cafe is normally in. But it is perhaps the perfect place for me to do the bike actual reveal, if you haven't guessed already what it is. It does say on the windshield what it is. But yeah, the last two bikes I revealed down here, so third bike down here. Yeah. Should we wait for this car to go by and then get on with it? Come on, chop, move along. Nothing to see. There's plenty to see. Go away. Yes, what have I got? I've got myself a 2023 Yamaha Tracer 7 GT. Really not a bike I saw myself getting, if I'm completely honest with you. but I do like it. Alrighty then, so yeah, see, so that's right here. If you were looking closely, Tracer, you see. So what has it got? Well, it's got the touring screen, which from the front does kind of just look like a little bit of plastic that someone's just cut out into a funny shape. I'm going to be honest, that's not the view I get of it, so it's fine. But yeah, that's annoying. What else has it got? Heated grips came as standard. It's got a USB socket and a 12-volt socket in the dash, which looks far better than it does on the Ninja. How they messed that up, I do not know. And I've got a comfort seat. I've got the original seat also at home, but it came with a comfort seat fitted, so yeah, I've gone with that. And obviously the luggage racks, I haven't got the luggage on today, no point. But it's got all 3 luggage boxes with it. Original Yamaha ones. They're not the current style, they're the previous style because it's a 23 bike. Obviously, all the dirt that's on it is by me in the last couple of 100 miles that I've had, because I've done a couple of rides on it already. But yes, I mean, I didn't see me getting this bike, and I'll be honest, even when I look at the pictures online, I'm not sold, but yeah, that's pretty good, don't you think? Don't you think? I do. So what have I added to the bike? Well, not a lot, as it happens. I put on a shared click system tank bag ring for my tank bag, and I put on the Beeline Moto thing. Probably wasn't as easy as it should have been, but, you know, the mounts are actually really expensive for them. I hadn't quite realised. Well, I suppose they're not really when you consider the cost of other mounts for phones and whatnot, but yeah, kind of expensive. But that's it. Those are the only changes I made. I did try an AUC C3 screen on here, but because there's a bar across here where the indicators sit on, and these plastic things here, it's half blocked by the tank bag, and it almost completely blocks the dash. So I took it off again because there's no point, and that's why the Beeline Moto's on there on this one. But I love that device, so it's not a problem. Otherwise, that's it. It's as it came, basically. The one thing I do dislike so far on it is that this screen rattles. There's something in the mechanism in the front that rattles, and I don't know. I'm going to have to try and sort that out. But that's all right. So far, I'm loving it. Anyway, for now, that's this video done. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you guessed correctly. Until the next video. Ta-ta for now. They clearly weren't looking. Oh, misty blue.